Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
You have something in your arsenal right here that can help you get what you want and what you need and what you dream of. So simple, but it works and it's scientifically proven. It's like the keys to the universe. What am I talking about? I'm talking about your vocabulary, your words. It is amazing how the words we use, the words we think, the thoughts we have dictate our future. We're going to talk about that today. And it's all in a book that she wrote. She is an amazing psychologist. Dr. Ann Creekmore is back with us. How are you today?
Good, Steve. How are you?
Good. I'm thumbing through your book. This is chapter 5. Book is called Love Yourself, Love Your Life. The chapter is called Words, Your Magical, Mystical Wands. And before we go any deeper into that, why did you name that chapter that way?
Well, because they are like a magical, mystical wand, because that gives you power to create your life to be the way that you want it to be. It's not so much the events that happen to us; it's what we say, our self-talk, that creates our interpretations of events, that creates how we feel, and then how we feel determines how we're going to behave, and then how we behave determines the outcome in our lives. So that's basically cognitive behavioral therapy, the most effective type of therapy that we know. And it's also supported by all religions and spiritual philosophies, that our words, and quantum physics, that our words have power, that have energy. I just kind of described how the process works from a scientific viewpoint, but it's also something that most religions or spiritual philosophies will say, that your words they outpicture in your life ultimately.
Is it your belief that what we say and what we think become our reality?
Correct. Yes.
Well, that's why we're talking about this today.
Yeah.
I don't think we realize that our lives are a product of what we're thinking. For example, somebody that says, I'm never going to make any money. I'm just, I'm never going to have enough. I'm always struggling, want to buy that car. I'm never going to make enough money. It's my belief, and I've seen this with others, that is what's going to happen. It's as if you're saying what you want to happen. Like your parents always used to say, be careful what you ask for. You're asking for it, right?
Right. Yeah. Watch what you wish for, you're going to create it. So yeah, if you have that kind of poverty consciousness because of, what you grew up with, or how you were trained, or things that happened, then you are putting a limit on yourself. Your belief is that you're not going to have, therefore you're going to, either kind of give up, or you're not going to, you're going to be so anxious, you're not going to make the right decisions, and it's not going to work out.
I want to get to the scientific angle of this in a moment, but your personal awakening to this and how this whole works, and maybe it's manifesting. I don't know if we want to label it that way.
We can.
Okay. All right. For you personally, what was your wake up on this whole thing?
Well, my wake up was probably very early, when I was little, but I do know that, through a church class, we worked on Louise Hay's Heal Your Life, to kind of manifest, or to put out our thoughts, like in the sense, from the spiritual viewpoint, your thoughts are prayers. So you can look at it in a secular way, that what you say and what you think causes you to behave a certain way, and then that will create a better outcome if it's positive. Or you can look at it just that your words, your verb is like a prayer, that you're putting out a prayer. Your thoughts are prayers. And so one of the things we did in class was that we had to think about something we wanted to improve in our body, in our physical health. And Louise Hay in Heal Your Life has actually a list of what are called sponsoring thoughts, really negative thoughts and beliefs that kind of can outpicture into physical problems. And for colds, for example, was the idea, well, I know I'm going to get sick. I'm exposed to something, I'm going to get sick. Or you're feeling you got to rush around all the time, disappointed, and just this harried kind of thing. And it affects your immune system. So I kind of picked that because I was a young parent then, with young children. And of course, I was getting sick all the time because they're sick all the time anyway. And I decided to, use that and use the words of bringing kind of peace and harmony into my system. And I forget exactly what it said. It was something like, when you have the thought that you're going to get sick, or you have the thought that you're just, stressed and rushed and, kind of out of control, doing so much, then you kind of say to yourself, my mind is at peace and harmony. I am relaxed and at peace. I'm connected to the good, to a source and all health. And instead of confirming, yes, I'm going to get sick. And then I actually had a client walk into my office, and she's coughing, and she comes in and she's carrying a little pharmacy bag with her antibiotic in it. And she just come from the doctor's, and she had an upper respiratory infection, and she's coughing, every few minutes, and hadn't taken her antibiotic. And I thought, well, this is perfect opportunity. I'm supposed to do this for my church class. And so every time she coughed, I would say that to myself. I just affirm that, my mind is relaxed and at peace, all is in harmony, and my health was good. And I never got sick, even though I was, coughed on for a full therapy session. And that was something I could come back in and say, hey, that, really changing your thought pattern will affect your body and create the good.
Scientifically, this stuff has been proven, right?
Yes.
Tell me what you know.
Well, I remember who was it? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Bernie Siegel, he did, about medicine and the power of thoughts, his book. It's been so long since I've read it, but there was a lot of research that I think went into that, showing that it's not what, I apologize.
It happens.
Well, maybe I shouldn't talk about something that I can't remember. There's just a lot of research. Quantum physics is showing now, with the different energy, that your energy can affect, your energy can affects things even kind of remotely. There's a really good book that I can speak about called The Field by Lynn McTaggart. And she was a journalist that did a lot of chapters on different topics. But basically what we put out, our energy, does affect things. A really interesting experiment that she described in her book was about these, they took these little robots and kind of measured their path in a room, just, little toy robot type things. Then they took little baby chicks and they put them in, newborn baby chicks, in the corner of the room. And of course, baby chicks are sending out the energy to mommy, or little animals, baby animals are sending out the need to imprint. They, do imprinting on their, mommy. And so there's no mommy in that room. There's just little robots kind of walking around. But the baby chicks were sending out the energy of wanting to imprint. I mean, that's their instinct and their intuitive energies going on when they're born. And so then they let the little robots out, and they're little machines walking around the room. They found that these little machines, actually their path detoured, and it was statistically significantly different than the original control situation. They walked towards the baby chicks at a statistically significant rate. That energy that was impacting on even in the machinery.
Wow.
And that's just one, she has a lot. It's a very interesting book, a lot of different things like that on some research.
Well, doesn't this go back to just energy in general? Einstein was one to bring to light how this works. Same thing with Nikolai Tesla, way back 1800s,
Right.
early 1900s,
Yes,
where he would manifest his experiments and what he believed and what he literally dreamed of and
exactly.
made it happen just by his thoughts or his words. And when we say words, we're also talking about the words you think. You may not verbalize them, but
Exactly. Sure. Your thoughts. Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Self-talk.
But it all goes back to one thing, energy. And the words are energy. The emotion behind the words you use are energy. How do
Exactly.
you how do you take a positive spin on all of this? Life is challenging. We have lots of stuff going on. Sometimes it's hard to always look at the bright side of things. But again, counterproductive if we don't, we're going to ask for, manifest, however you want to phrase it, all these things that don't support us. So how do you get that mentality where you're always in a more positive frame of mind, more positive vibration?
Well, I would give you another example of the importance of it because sometimes I think if you realize how much of an impact your passion, your energy, your emotion has on your environment, then maybe if you could think about that empathy is just so important and that it's creating that positive in your life. And another example that chapter she has in there was of an experiment that they had a three-way mirror, and the participants or I don't know if they were really Confederates. They weren't the actual participant in the experiment. The participant in the experiments were in a little room and they were hooked up to their galvanic skin response and so on. All their measures, their heart rate, everything was going to get measured. Well, on the other side of the three-way mirror that they couldn't see would be like the experimenter or the Confederate for the experimenter that would be just sending different vibes to them, to looking in at them, and they would send if they sent kind of negative thoughts, then their measures would show anxiety. I think their galvanic skin response would go up, their heart rate would go up. They could, they were shown that they were becoming anxious. Then when that was variables withdrawn, and then someone else is there sending kind of love and positivity, and peace to them, everything went down. And they just, their measures showed that they were just had good well-being. And we have to think that what we put out towards other people is going to very much affect them. Our energy affects other things, and so if we can remember that, to kind of put ourselves in, do we want negative energy sent to us? We can pick it up, right? We can walk in a room and feel something,
Oh, yeah.
and we don't want that to us. So treat others as we wish to be treated, and send and keep that at that positive, because then it all turns in, because people remember, I know I've said this before, that, when you're angry or frustrated, that your IQ goes down like 2 standard deviations. So we don't want to bring that into a scenario, where we're trying to have a meeting or we're trying to be with others and get along with them and then get them agitated, and then nobody's thinking straight in that situation. We want to be able to be sending out the love, send the vibe of love to others and kind of asking for that love back in some way. And then things turn out much better.
I've never heard that until you said it a while back in a podcast, that our intelligence goes down during
Yes.
those times. Wow.
Mhm.
Is that why when we're challenged, we're angry, whatever it might be, we can't make proper decisions, or we make rash decisions at that time because we're just dumb at that moment?
You can put it like that. We're not, we want to keep our IQ up. We want to have all, our full faculties when we're making decisions. And we don't have it to that level when we're agitated, we're stressed out. And and frustrated. Correct.
How about some other things that we should remember when it comes to talking to ourselves, either in our mind or verbally, with an eye on wanting the best outcome, manifesting good stuff?
Hmm. What are you thinking about? What do you comes to you?
Yeah, that the negativity that we all tell ourselves. You look in the bathroom mirror, you're like, oh my God, what, where did that come from? What's going on? Look at, we do it, we all the
Mhm.
time, but psychologically, aren't we just beating ourselves down by doing that? And what's it actually doing to us?
Exactly. I mean, it's harmful. You wouldn't say that to your friend, a family member, and because you wouldn't say because it would hurt their feelings or make them feel uncomfortable or embarrassed about themselves. So we really have to be a friend to ourselves and treat ourselves as a friend or be our own best friend and say the things that we know are going to make us feel positive. And there's a good movie. There are a couple of good movies. One is What the Bleep Do We Know? And I'm trying to think, oh, well, of course, The Secret was a big popular movie as well. And I can't remember which movie it comes from, but both are about this and how we can be affected by what we say. And in one of the movies, it shows where actually a monk took water and they took a picture of the water microscopically first, kind of the control. Then the monk sent blessings to the water, just sent positive the energy of positivity. And then the water developed into beautiful crystals, microscopically. But then the next one, the monk sent kind of hate, and it actually kind of tinged the water. And so when we think about that, we are like a very high percent of water. What are we? I don't know, 70% water, our bodies. When we're saying those things to ourselves or to someone else, and if that, energy that we're sending, the negative or the positive energy, is going to immensely affect us because we're mostly water. and go ahead.
I heard this recently, and
Mhm.
if I remember correctly, they were playing music that was very upbeat, lifting, as opposed to ominous music, so high vibration, low vibration. Then look
Yes.
at the molecules of water, and they were perfectly rounded, smooth, just perfect with
Right.
the positive music and vibration. The other stuff, it was all jagged and nasty. The molecules of water, and again, to your point, water is in us, a large percentage.
Right.
And all
We're
of
at
this
water.
goes down to the cellular level. I grabbed this post-it that I
Mhm.
had, and I heard this a while ago, and I heard it again recently. So this time I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. But if you're going to say something to somebody, send a text, send an email. I've heard that, and I do this now, that you should wait before you send it. Maybe if it's pretty heavy, wait 24, 48 hours. But no matter what you send, put it through this filter. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Before you send it out,
Right.
see if it passes that test. All three of them, by the
E-
way.
Exactly. I like that. That's really good. And it goes back to the old sleep on it. A lot of times when you've gotten rest, you wake up the next day and you go, why was I thinking even that in the first place? Or
Yes.
the sound wave somehow hit through the night, or your unconscious has processed all this and you don't even see it really the same way. And so
I
that's
just
a
I just did this
great.
last night. I typed an email due to a situation, somebody I do business with, and they're a vendor for my company, and just they keep dropping the ball, like just making these mistakes, and it's a trickle down effect. And I sent an email to the individual.
Uh-huh.
I didn't send, I'm sorry, I wrote it last
Hmm.
night, and I never sent it. And I woke up this morning and it was on my screen. I'm like, I'm not going to send it. And I wound up, his superior actually called me and was aware of everything. And I just reiterated from the email, and things will be taken care of. Um, but I didn't need to send it. What it did was give me even more clarity in terms of thinking about it when I had the discussion with the other individual. So
Yes.
put that filter, use that filter. I think it's
Perfect.
effective.
Excellent. Excellent. And another technique that I use, if you will, I mean, being a spiritual person, and is sending the vibe of love, just kind of connecting to good, to your higher power, sacred
Mhm.
space, God, whatever people want to call, if you could do that, and it can be your breath, even your prana, whatever, and just let that flow through you and just send love to whoever you maybe have a concern or something with. Just kind of let it flow through your heart to them, and just tell them something nice, tell them a true nice thing, that you feel, and then ask for something back, in return, like you're sending love and you'd like love maybe in this way back, and you might be surprised at who will pick up with that energy, and that they may even repeat what you said. It's the weirdest thing, where I've had people where, I would put something out and then, say, oh, I wish you would see me as a good this or that, and then they'll come in and say, well, I really see you as a good this or that. I'm like, yeah, you must be telepathic, but I'm teasing, but, not, so, what I'm saying? It's sending the vibe of love and then asking for love back. And it's something with the energy that you can really create that loving space, and getting your needs met in without even the external typed words or emailed words. And you'd be
So are you talking about just sending positivity out into the universe and see what comes back?
You can, or you can send it completely to anyone. I mean, in a specific way. I mean, this would sound a little woo woo. Maybe I'll just share something. One time I had but I was just taught that if you open up and just let, the love force flow through you, through your heart, to a specific person, even if you don't think that they're maybe a good person, you don't really know that they would respond to love. It's like a prayer, sending a prayer out, right? Then you can, because you can never know who is, who isn't. Then see what happens. Send the love out, and then ask them for something specific. And I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
One day I was having have quite a few therapy clients. It was when those the snipers were going in DC, remember? And they were, and it was such a, a harrowing time. And every single person who came into my office that day had talked about that. That's all they wanted to talk about. And we had other issues. They just were scared. They were really afraid, and that's what they want to talk about. So if that's what they want to talk about, that's what we're going to talk about. But I kept saying, well, why? I mean, every single client's telling me this. Well, so I just decided, like, I'm going to send vibe of love. And somehow I got that there was two of them. I don't know if we knew that or not, but I kind of said, I'm just going to send love to them, because even though they were doing something evil, if you will, obviously, that you don't know who you can reach. So I just kind of said the prayers, just sent love, and said, everyone is extremely, send love to them for doing what they, think they is right or whatever, I don't know what to compliment them on, but to realize, you please stop, because everyone is too frightened. And could you, you need to confess now.
Hmm.
Well, they actually had come down, I believe, and were in Richmond. They were down where people were picking up, and we were scared because this was up in DC. And I don't know what they were doing. I can't remember, but they were caught for something else. Who knows if they were shooting in a field somewhere or something like that. But they weren't picked up as snipers. But the boy, the younger boy who had been, following this man, he confessed.
Wow.
Yeah. And, so you never know what,
You never
you're,
know
yeah,
when you put it out into the universe, what's going to come back.
exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Your website, easy to find. It's Psychologist in Virginia.
Virginia, correct. All
.com.
spelled out, and a plural, psychologist.
And
It's my
just want to
website.
share the book. Fantastic book. So well written, so easy to understand. Not woo woo, if you will. Love yourself, love your life, one of a few books you have out.
Yes.
And it's under the pen name AP Filosa. And great having you on here. Good discussion. And it's stuff that we don't think of. Choose your words wisely.
Exactly. Have an impact on your thoughts.
And your thoughts as well. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.